In this video, I'm going to be talking about how you can make 2024 your year. 80 to 90% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions and goals before February. I don't know the numbers for like after 1 week, but it's probably like 50% of people will give up after 1 week. In order to stick to your goals and actually make this year different than last year, you need to have the right mindset going into 2024. Everyone always says new year, new me, but this is a flawed way of thinking because you don't need to wait till a certain day to start. You don't need to wait until the new year to start something. You should be able to start a goal or a task at any time if it's actually important to you. So setting the date of, oh, I'm gonna start on the new year or next month when this thing happens or whatever, that is going to lead to a higher chance of failure because you're going to give yourself time to procrastinate before that. And then in that time, you're going to have the ability to doubt yourself and question what you're doing, which is then going to stop you from actually going through with what you wanted to do. There is going to be a lot of resistance whenever you're trying to do something that is beneficial for yourself. So whenever you are trying to improve your life, there's going to be challenges and it's going to be difficult for you to actually go through with that task. If you compare that to just something that isn't healthy for you, that is very easy, like scrolling on your phone, there is very little resistance to do that because it feels good and it's nice and it's simple. But in order to actually achieve what you want to achieve, it's going to be difficult, so you have to remember that, and you shouldn't have the delusion that it's all going to be fun and everything's going to get great when you start doing whatever you're trying to do. So just remember, the longer you take to start something, the more time you're going to give yourself to doubt yourself and overthink what you're doing. And you have to remember that you are not going to be ready for a lot of things. So if you're waiting on the moment when you feel like, oh, I'm ready to do this, it might not ever happen. There are a lot of things that are just difficult. They're unknown until you learn them. So you can't be waiting on this right time because you'll never find it, and it'll just lead to you procrastinating and then getting less motivated because you feel bad about yourself because you're not doing what you have to do, and it just becomes a negative cycle that you want to avoid. It is also important to remember that in order to stick to your goal, you have to have a very clear understanding of why you want to achieve this goal. If you do not have a very clear understanding of why you want to achieve this goal, anytime there's a little bit of an inconvenience, you're gonna have a much higher likelihood of just stopping because there isn't that driving force behind what you're doing. That also applies to the goal if the reason of why you want to do that is superficial. So for example, if you want to go to a gym so you look good for summer, that might get you in the door to going to the gym, but it would be a lot more powerful to have the mindset of, I want to go to the gym so I'm healthy later on in life and I have a better life in the future, because that is a lot more powerful than just this summer I want to look good. Because once this summer happens, you lost that motivation. You're gonna have to come up with a new form of motivation, and you might find yourself falling into a rut. Or when summer happens and you don't have the physique that you imagined because it takes more time than you realized, you might also fall into a rut and then give up. So you have to be very careful with what the fuel behind what you're trying to do is. Also, always remember that anything that actually has value will take time and requires a lot of effort to actually have happen. You will have to go through a lot of development to foresee the goals. And this can be tricky because a lot of people think of progress as a very linear thing. However, progress is not linear. There's going to be a moment when you're doing a bunch of work and seeing no results until you get a breakthrough, and then things are going to start going a lot faster. And then it's going to plateau again and continue that cycle. But most people give up before they hit the breakthrough, and then they just feel discouraged and they don't continue. When if they just stayed with it for a little bit longer, they would have suddenly seen a huge spike in their progress, and that would have been very rewarding. So just make sure that you have the patience to reach the breakthrough. That could take a lot longer than you expect. Actually, I would almost guarantee that it's going to take a lot longer than you're expecting. But if you put in the effort and you're consistent, it is impossible that you don't reach that point, because with the right amount of effort, you can achieve whatever you want to do. So I want to end off this video by giving you guys a question, which is, do you want to choose the pain of regret, or do you want to choose the pain of discipline?